Hey friend, and welcome to Perfect Periods, the place where we discuss how to navigate different periods of life while perfecting our actual periods. What? Like it's hard? I'm your host, fertility awareness educator, Berri on Berri, but you can call me Berri. Here, you'll learn how to master your cycle so you can truly master your life. Now grab your favorite beverage and maybe a notebook, and let's dive right on in. Hello, Flow Tribe. What is up, y'all? Welcome back. Can I just say that I love my intro? Like, I really do vibe to it before I start talking. But today, we are going to be talking about paid menstrual leave. But before we do that, let me say a few things. I wasn't really planning on talking about this because, I had something else scheduled to go live on the podcast, specifically on my birthday, which is 2/22. It is Berri Day. February 22nd is Berri Day. So I do expect a happy birthday from all of you listening. But I digress. But then Spain decided they were going to up and decide they were going to give people paid menstrual leave. And, it's so interesting because for me, when I see things like that, I obviously look into them a lot more. But then in addition to that, I always want to weigh in on the discussion, but not in a way that most people would expect. So I posted on Instagram, like, this is really cool, but I have a question. And don't get mad because I know how you girls like to tussle. But is this in alignment with gender equity? And I gotta be real with you. I wasn't saying that because I was trying to ruffle people's feathers. I'm saying it from this genuine place of wait a second. Is this what we want to be doing, or is this a step in the wrong direction? And listen, let me tell you how many people decided to comment. There were 43 comments. I have not commented back once, okay? 88 saves, which is kind of a lot, and 132 cents. So a lot of people have a lot to say about this. And when I'm reading through the comments, I'm shocked. One, at the audacity of some people, because people will project their beliefs. But second, I think that we have to do a better job of critically thinking about these things. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because, I have always been one of those people on my platforms to speak truth. And, as much as it gets me in trouble, I'm going to stand firm in it. And what was interesting to me is people saying yes, this is equitable because it's fair. And then other people saying, no, it's not equitable because if I don't work, then I don't eat. And then other people saying it's definitely not equitable when I'm made to be uncomfortable because of this. There's so many layers. And, I want to share this let's go back to, I think it was 2020 was the first time I shared this. I want us to all start using our brain, okay? BRAIN is an acronym. You guys know I love my acronyms, okay? B is for benefits. So whenever you're processing through information, right? B is for benefits. Are there benefits to this specific thing? R is for risk. What are the risk and ramifications of said thing? A is for alternatives. Are there any alternatives available? I is for intuition. What is your intuition telling you about this specific thing? And then N can either be for nothing or for next steps. Okay? What happens if I do nothing, and what are these next steps? And I want to bring this conversation back to us because I think that, we have just gotten so far away from thinking about all sides of an argument. I want you guys to think about this. When you wrote papers in middle school and high school, you always had to take a stance, right? And we needed to know that through your thesis statement, right? And you had your argument. But then you also always had to acknowledge the counter argument and then basically say why the counter argument is wrong, at least when you were good at writing papers. And like, shout out to all my teachers listening. I appreciate y'all in them whopper paragraphs because they hit different, okay? But like, seriously, I want to encourage you all to utilize this as you are processing information moving forward. And if you're listening to this and you're like, Berri, you need to have on a tinfoil hat, I'm gonna just like be like, honestly, you're not wrong. But at the same time, I think that critically thinking and thinking for ourselves is just such a nuanced thing. It's like a party trick in our society right now. And I say this with love, but y'all know it's also true, right? So I wanted to just like weigh in on that. Now, if you want to know what I think about the paid menstrual leave, it's exactly what I said on Instagram. I think this is cool, but is it equitable? And that's because when we talk about equity, I get confused because it seems like there's no general consensus of what is actually equitable. It seems as if equity is open for interpretation based off of your perspective. When I looked at the dictionary definition, it's talking about things being fair. And so my thought is, okay, yes, it's great, paid menstrual leave, but what's even better is like earlier education about supporting your cycle so that you don't have to leave work. What's even better than that is a society or a workplace that supports a cycle and understands that, right? Like those things are fair to me. I don't personally find it fair that people can have paid menstrual leave because they have periods. What about the guys who don't have periods? Are they too getting more paid time off essentially? And again, I'm not saying this to be like a hater. I'm saying this because I'm really like, I don't know if this is equitable. I don't know if this is actually moving forward in the right direction because the very same people who want menstrual paid vacations are also some of the same people who will talk about being feminist and like in whatever feminist wave they want to be in and say that F the patriarchies type stuff, right? And like that's not fair to me. That's preaching hate, but like that's neither here nor there. I could go on a whole tangent. So that's one thing, but I'm also just like, these are also the very same people who will say to a man, I can do anything you can do and I can do it bleeding, but I want to take the day off for work that I didn't do, for pain that's being inflicted upon me because I don't know my body. Like, listen, these are all the thoughts that went through my head. I obviously didn't put all of this on Instagram because I'm not trying to trigger people, okay? Contrary to popular belief. I just really want you guys to think about these things on a deeper level. And I want us to all collectively make the decision to utilize our brains, okay? B is for benefits, R is for risk, A is for alternatives, I is for intuition, N is for nothing or next steps. It's your call. But again, as you're processing through, just really think about that. Now, the last thing I want to say in today's episode is if you have not enrolled in the Workflow Workshop series, what are you doing? Listen, if you are looking to work smarter rather than harder and really understand how to utilize the power of your menstrual cycle and your hormones in those ebbs and flows and the brain changes to your advantage, I would highly, highly recommend that you enroll in the Workflow Workshop series, okay? Here's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a 2-part workshop. Part 1 is the work, as I like to call it. Of course, we're going to do menstrual cycle basics. Of course, we're going to target your energy and your hormones. And then we're going to talk beauty and brains because, baby, it is beautiful. In the second part of the workshop, we're going to target the flow. And flow is going to be an acronym where F is for finding your phase, L is for lifestyle integration. And I want to tell you this right now. This is not me telling you how to work out in sync with your cycle or how to eat in sync with your cycle. You already know how to do that, especially if you are subscribed to this podcast or you follow me on Instagram. You know how to do it, okay? But what I am going to target and talk about is the habit stacked routine that you need to be implementing in order to make cyclical living easier for your lifestyle. Okay. We're also going to be talking about the importance of not just targeting gut health, but actual brain health, because there's a lot of conversation about your second brain, but nobody's talking about the first brain. And y'all know me, if they're not doing it, I'm pretty much doing it, because I can never just stick with like the status quo. And then the last thing we talk about is optimization. And this is targeted to how to work with your cycle as either a homemaker, an entrepreneur, or a working professional. Okay. The tips and tricks that I share for working as an entrepreneur is so different than what I'm going to tell a working professional, which is vastly different than what I'm going to tell a homemaker. And I want to make that crystal clear. If you want to hear some of the results that people have had from workflow, literally working in sync with their cycle, just hop over to the Optimize Your Flow Instagram. If you are trying to figure out which one is going to be best for you, I'll say this right now. Even if you work full time, but like you want to utilize workflow to improve your personal health and how you run your household, you'll want the homemaker one, because that was a question I got and I thought it was really, really good. And then if you are like, no, I'm strictly here because I want to do business and like productivity for my business, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're like a teacher who's a working professional, right? You would want to get in one of those. Also, I just want to say that we are going to continue to have these conversations that are definitely a little bit more direct. Obviously, I'm going to work on my delivery, but I just have so much to say, and I'm very blessed that I do have this platform, but I've also had enough of like the dumb, you can fill in the blank, because I know some of you have kids, but I've had I am so over the like virtue signaling and signifying that I'm basically saying. So I'm going to say what a lot of people probably are thinking, but are too afraid to say it. And 9 times out of 10, it might ruffle a feather here or there, especially if you are somebody who does lean with a view a certain way, whether that be right or left. And for the record, Berri is very much so politically homeless because the bipartisan system is broken. And I will say that time and time again. I am fairly traditional with a lot of my values, but like that doesn't mean I lean more to the right or to the left. It means that I'm very independent. And with that being said, we got to go INDEPENDENT. Do you know what that means? She got her own house. She got her own car. Okay, clearly I am hyped and amped because my birthday's coming. But I'm going to close out today's episode right here. If you are interested in the workshop, please head to the show notes, get into it, sis. And as always, I am sending you big love and flowy vibe, my friend. I'll talk to you soon. Hey friend, if you enjoyed today's episode, can you do me a solid and leave a rating and review? And if you have some friends going through a different period of life where they want a little bit more peace, or perhaps they just want a better period, make sure you share this with them, because here we're all about having a period and a life, an enjoyable one at that. As always, I'm sending big love and flowy vibes.